All right, let's talk about decentralized finance, or DeFi. You have probably seen it everywhere. These ads for just eye-popping returns. We're talking 50, even 100%. And yeah, it really does sound like a financial revolution. But behind those huge numbers, there's this silent risk that catches so many new investors completely off guard.
So let me just ask you this straight up. Could that shiny 100% reward you're chasing actually be a trap? I know it's a pretty provocative question, but stick with me because by the end of this short explainer, you're going to understand exactly why every single DeFi investor needs to be asking that. Okay, so first, let's just touch on the promise itself. Because, look, there's no denying that DeFi has opened up this whole new world of financial opportunities that, used to be just for the big banks and institutions. It really is an exciting time. And this right here, this is what gets everyone so excited. You see these massive annual percentage yields, the APYs, and you hear all about earning trading fees and getting reward tokens. I mean, it looks like the perfect passive income machine, right? But here's the thing, and this is crucial. These platforms, they shout about the profits, but they barely even whisper about the risks. And that brings us right to the hidden catch. The part of this whole equation that can leave even really smart investors feeling, well, pretty confused and frustrated.
So picture this. You log into your DeFi account. You see your rewards ticking up day after day, which feels great. But then you look at the total dollar value of your investment, and it's less than you thought it would be. Sometimes, it's actually less than if you had just held on to your tokens in the first place. So what on earth is going on? Well, this culprit has a name, impermanent loss.
To really get this, we first need to look at the simplest strategy out there, just holding your tokens, or what everyone calls hodling. It's super simple. If you have 1 Ether, you always have 1 Ether. If the price goes up, you get 100% of that benefit. No tricks, no complexity.
Okay, now let's compare that to providing liquidity. This is where you deposit a pair of tokens into a pool to earn all those juicy trading fees. But, and this is the key difference, the amount of each token you own doesn't stay the same. It changes automatically based on what the market is doing.
Now this is where it really clicks. On the left, with holding, it's simple. You keep your 1 ETH and you ride the price wave all the way up. But on the right, when you provide liquidity, something really weird happens. As the price of ETH doubles, the pool's algorithm actually sells some of your ETH for you. Yeah, you read that right. So you earn some fees for sure, but you now own less of the very asset that's skyrocketing in value. And this table just lays out the cost perfectly. Let's say you start with 2 grand, that's 1 ETH and 1,000 USDT. If the price of ETH doubles and you were just holding, your stuff is now worth 3,000 bucks. Easy. But in that liquidity pool, your final value is only 2,800. That $200 difference, that is your impermanent loss. It's the hidden price you pay for earning those fees.
All right, so we've seen the effect. Now let's unmask the cause. Why is it called impermanent, and what's really going on behind the scenes? Well, it's called impermanent because the loss only becomes real when you actually withdraw your money. If the token prices somehow go all the way back to their original ratio, poof, the loss can just vanish. But let's be honest, that's a pretty big if.
I absolutely love this analogy. Forget crypto for just a second. Imagine you have 2 piles, a pile of rice and a pile of beans, equal in value. Suddenly, rice becomes super valuable. So traders start showing up and they keep taking your valuable rice and leaving you with more of the cheaper beans. By the end of it all, you've got way less of the expensive thing and way more of the cheap one. You've lost out on potential profit. That, in a nutshell, is impermanent loss.
So this whole process is run by something called an automated market maker, or an AMM. Just think of it like a little robot trader, and its only job is to keep the value of the 2 piles perfectly balanced. So when traders rush in to buy your valuable rice, the token that's shooting up in price, the AMM's algorithm has to sell it to them to keep that 50-50 balance. It's not random. It's a totally predictable mathematical process that always leaves you with less of the winning asset.
And it's so predictable, you can literally calculate it. I mean, look at this number. If one of the tokens in your pair doubles in price compared to the other one, you are guaranteed to have 5.7% less value than if you had just held those tokens. It is a quantifiable mathematical risk.
Okay, so it's a real calculated risk. We get it. But that doesn't mean you should just run away from DeFi. Not at all. It just means you need to be smart about it. So how do the smart investors handle this?
Well, your first line of defense is choosing your token pairs wisely.
And as you can see here, the risk levels are, well, they're dramatically different. Pairing two stablecoins, which are both tied to a dollar, is very low risk because their prices barely move against each other. But pairing a newer, super volatile altcoin with a stablecoin, that's where you face the highest possible risk for impermanent loss. So it all comes down to this one simple calculation. Your goal as a liquidity provider isn't just about earning fees. It's about making sure the fees you earn are bigger than your potential impermanent loss. So in this example, you earned $400 in fees, but you lost $200 to impermanent loss. The result? A net profit of $200. This is the simple math that tells you if you're actually winning the game. So to kind of wrap up the strategy part, here are the top 3 takeaways. First, if you want low risk, use stablecoin pairs. Second, it's best to provide liquidity when the market is stable or just moving sideways, not when one asset is shooting for the moon. And third, focus on pools that have a ton of trading volume, because more trading means more fees, and those fees are your main weapon against impermanent loss.
In all of this, it brings us to the real golden rule of providing liquidity. It's not about just blindly chasing the highest APY you can find. It's about a fundamental shift in how you think about your entire investment.
I think this quote just says it all. In this world, the biggest profits don't go to the biggest risk takers. They go to the people who actually understand the game they're playing. You have to remember, you're not just a passive investor here. You're acting like a market maker. So ignorance is the real enemy, not impermanent loss itself.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought. The next time you see one of those amazing DeFi opportunities, just ask yourself this: am I just chasing a reward, or am I actually managing a risk? Because in this space, only one of those strategies is going to lead you to long-term success.